We are at the possible site, right?
Possible site.
Possible site. I think it's this one.
Yes.
And where would that be exactly? Right here.
That's the post office. That's the property.
There's been no design. There's been no.
What? Can you point to where the edge of the property?
The property lines are basically that wall.
Oh, that wall.
And then it goes back a little bit.
So would this be the wall?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, it's zigzagging there.
Right, coming towards us.
Yeah. So it would be in this.
Just in here.
In here. So, what did you talk about, Steve? So, Steve, we're talking about a building that would be like 20 by 30?
Yeah, maybe a little bigger.
Right in here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's room.
Yep. We try to push it back against the back property line as much as possible.
Try to make it disappear.
Yep. Keep it as low as possible.
Because they can put these underground, could you put the whole works underground? Question mark.
Yeah, that really leads to other issues in terms of accessibility and that sort of thing.
But you may not need a conventional big roof on it. You can make it a low profile building.
What we looked at before was something on the order of like a carrot, would make it look like a carriage shed or a stable type of thing. But bless you. But
or a meat market.
Or a meat market.
Something like that.
Yeah, the Salisbury facility.
His name's
Could
William
it be
Betts.
smaller than
yes.
that?
Oh yeah, that's twice the size of almost.
Utzler's, and he bought.
Who was
Plus,
that?
in the
Ian,
bookstore.
He says Ian. He said it could be about half the size of the Salisbury facility.
Oh, nice.
Height-wise, right? Or
yeah, that uses a technology where they had to take these are all membranes that get slid into a tank, and you have to have headroom to get those membranes out.
Right.
And now they make membranes that go in this way as opposed to this way, so there's ways to work around that to some degree.
Over there, the meat market. Yeah. So you're talking about 20 by 30, maybe a little larger.
Yeah.
And then there'd have to be some room for maybe some tanks.
There'd be tanks underground. Some of which would be under the building.
Would you need to get behind it, or no? You'd be able
Not
to
necessarily.
access it all.
Yeah.
Front
through the front, some larger front doors or something. Yeah.
How big a tank are you talking about?
I don't know offhand. No.
10,000 gallons?
Probably. Yeah.
One or two?
There's probably two tanks.
One for
There's
treated,
yeah,
and one for.
No, it's part of the process. And I'm not a process person, but there's what they call an anoxic tank, which is half aerated, half not, half just has oxygen, and then there's another tank more that's just pure aeration, and then you have the membranes. But a lot of those tanks can go, the storage tanks can go under, and then initially there's what they call a trash trap or trash tank, which takes all the larger materials out of the wastewater, and that's up front, and that would be underground also.
Are they steel or fiberglass?
It could be anything. It could be anything. We'll leave that up to the treatment plant people, basically.
And the treated water, that would come out on a steady flow?
Relatively steady flow.
Into the brook?
Correct. No, not the brook. Into the river. Can't go into the brook.
Oh, have to go down to the river.
Yes.
So we have to run another line. So
correct.
How much of a deal is it to find a place to run it into the river down there?
That's not that big a deal. Because the big issue there is whether the river can accept a treated effluent discharge, and it can. It's a Class B river, so that's acceptable for treated wastewater effluent. And the DEP, we've talked to them at length early on in the process, and they were in favor of this whole
2-inch discharge line.
We might be 4.
4.
Yeah.
Or is that south of the bridge?
Not that hasn't been designed yet.
And does it go out and drop in, or go down in underwater?
It goes in. It'll be underwater. Yep.
With the same ditch carrying the discharge pipe?
Yes.
Also carry the...
Yes.
Okay. One ditch?
Yes.
Yeah.
One
okay,
ditch.
well that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
it does.
glad to hear that making sense is what can happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Good. That's good.
And you said we might not need to go below frost?
No, probably for what? No, just below the frost. Just below frost.
Just below
Which up
frost.
here it could be what, 10 feet deep?
No, I'm thinking, if you got to cross the road, frost will dry.
Yeah.
If the snow is off, frost will go down.
But you have to keep in mind also that these pipes, certainly the pipes coming up the hill, what are they containing? Sewage.
Yes.
Sewage is warm, so they tend not to.
All right. So
they tend not to freeze.
So they'll be full of sewage, or will they, when the pumps aren't pumping, will the excess go back into the tank?
No, they're pretty much the way these pumps work.
Valves?
They're pretty much always full of liquid.
Okay.
Yeah. The pumps, you can't. you know, unless you have a pump station, these individual grinder pumps, they can't pump from all the way down by the river all the way up here. It's kind of, they push it a certain distance, and the next pump pushes it a little bit further, next pump pushes it a little bit further, till it gets up.
So we'll have multiple pumps coming up?
Every property will have a pump.
Every property that discharges into the
Correct.
line?
Yes. Yep.
And properties that might eventually discharge?
They
will you
would
put
have to have a
pumps
pump in the future, yeah.
You wouldn't put it in to
No.
begin with?
No.
That would be
And
part
where
of
does the pump go? In their basement?
No. Typically
Outside.
they're outside. They look like a small
Little
manhole right
manhole?
outside the house, yeah. Yeah. And they have some storage capacity. Should the power go out, they have some storage capacity. But having said that, this is kind of an ideal community for these types of pumps in the sense that when power goes out, you're not pumping water either, unless you've got a generator, in which case the generator could power your water supply and the discharge pump.
Okay, so
But, yeah.
we'll have a generator here?
No.
To take
Oh,
care
here
of
for this
this?
plant? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
All right,
absolutely.
and that'll come on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
And if the people will hear it, they won't be alarmed or?
No, I wouldn't think so. They're fairly quiet nowadays. They'll come on for, like mine comes on 20 minutes. Every,
We have one at the Wish House that comes on.
So
Every Tuesday.
Mr. Betts also did offer the site across the street. over
Yes,
there,
he offered
which
that.
is an alternative.
That is an alternative. However, you know, these to put tanks in there and other things that would require a structural evaluation, a lot of structural work, in my opinion. That building was not built for this type of process. So I thought he was offering to take part of it down, but I'm not sure that's what he was offering. He was thinking more on the lines of put it in that building and use part of the building for it. But
The ground floor is 3 feet up.
yeah, there's no basement, right? There's no basement in that.
So it would require quite a bit of alteration.
Yeah. And then we looked at the small parcel next to it that he just picked up from the town, but it's too small.
No, this one makes a lot more sense.
And again, in 55, that bridge jammed with debris, with the meat market, fell into the brook, and then it took off down the street. So being on this side of the road is why these buildings are here. And that is one thing they're looking at, the environmental stuff, is to make sure you're not in, you know, a flood danger area, which there you're getting closer, pretty close. We were offered sites up on Smith Place, or at least we talked about. The house up there, the Farnsworth property is burned out. Thought with those are that they're very close to existing properties, and this is more in a commercial setting between two commercial buildings. That you'd be, again, it's a little harder to get trucks, which you would have to get trucks up in there, I guess. Do you have any thoughts about going up Smith?
Yeah, no, it's
Place?
just not as accessible. We're buying a house in one case, and you know, existing property. It's nowhere near as attractive as this site, and costs would be definitely more.
And this property owner is interested and willing and
up here?
Because it makes his property, right now he has no well, no septic across the street.
would he sell this or long-term lease?
Don't know. We'll make things happen. So, haven't got to that point yet.
What was that?
He wants to make something happen here because obviously it makes his properties more useful. We haven't discussed terms yet, but we were very generous selling the land across the street. And it seems to be community spirit. So, haven't gotten to the details yet, but again, if he's the host, then I think we'll be.
And down where the library is, down on River Road, that's in the floodplain?
On that, yeah.
That side of the road.
Yeah. Yes, that again, that would be something they'd be looking at. And there is documentation of that being underwater, and used to be with things being more flood prone now than they used to be. It's like,
Yeah, you're right.
and you could probably make it, because I mean that building withstood 30, 55, so you probably could fortify that site, but they might not. It might cause more problems in the review process.
So this is it, right?
This is it.
Well,
We're here.
Yeah.
You running out of batteries?
yeah.
This is. We're here.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I think. So that's about where we're at. Is there consensus on the committee? This seems to be.
Was there another subject on the agenda?
There was public comment. But we sort of got
Are there any
through all
public
that.
comment?
Any public comments?
The public?
Yeah. Well, this is what we're going to pursue at this point. Seems to be the consensus.
It seems like an ideal location to me.
And you can screen it,
Right here, yeah.
whatever.
And what's the procedure for getting public feedback on a chosen location?
Well, I think
Town
once
meeting?
No,
Don't
we,
ask for it.
we would. No, there's public process for everything. But once we get through the HUD process, then when the construction happened, we'd have to go in front of whatever town boards would regulate something like this. So there would be a public input things on the aesthetics, the setbacks, the screening, all those things that people like to talk about. Yep. So this is not this is not the final decision.
No,
but you have to start.
Yeah.
And we have to get, going. And I think it's good to get going before the weather gets worse, and we find out more jobs we have to do. So.
Well, as far as, I mean, just looking at this site, and I haven't really, it does look like a potential, I don't know, it's further back than I thought. There is more room here for parking. Should that ever turn to a restaurant or, whatever could ever happen to that?
Parking's an issue here of everybody. I just tell this gentleman that he's familiar with the area where the state right-of-way is. The state right-of-way goes through the middle of that building and the middle of that building. So they're on state property and they're on state property already. So
yeah, the edge of that asphalt.
yeah.
But there'll be,
But there's
But
still,
again, if you
in the development plans will be,
there'd be some sort of master plan to try to
Master plan,
also improve the parking
Improve it,
here. So
yeah,
there
yeah.
may be ways to park on top of the tanks or whatever. You can, try to look at maximizing the use of this.
so
space.
some of the tanks are not in the buildings?
Correct. Yeah, most of them are underground outside the building.
Outside.
And they could be concrete tanks that you could drive on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember one
Yeah.
firm we talked to,
Yeah.
that was one of
All
their
the tanks are
specialties.
under.
I think, didn't we drive on top of tanks in the site,
did.
the shopping closet down in
Yeah,
wherever we were?
as well as the
Oh,
development.
yeah.
So anyway, okay.
This is the site of where the hotel used to be.
Yeah, the hotel. This is actually, there was a hotel out front.
And the pink one too, was a hotel? There were two
No,
hotels?
there was a big hotel
That could be a
here,
hotel.
and then there was actually a full bar in the hotel, and I believe there was a livery, there was a horse barn.
Oh, in the back?
So actually we're going, it's consistent with the historic use of the property. So
Fertilizer.
it's just not horse manure anymore. So, yeah, so there was a horse barn here, and I think, that wall at least was part of that whole setup.
And the hotel burned in what, 1920 or something?
20, yep.
Roaring
When we
20s.
could setbacks to this building.
Well, again, we had it's all type of the fact there was a commercial structure here, does a lot, and
And there's nothing there, but
And we're probably
Yeah,
going
no,
to
I'm
create
just thinking about
additional
the post
parking.
office,
we were
whoever
creating
owns it.
additional parking
Whoever owns
and
this.
dealing with,
Sell something on the screen.
this is like a big
Yeah,
septic
they do.
system, which is part of your
don't own any.
your house.
I don't know, Richard, what would be down.
Anyway, plenty to do, but we have to get have to start.
You're probably right.
So, thank
Okay.
you, Richard.
You're welcome.
You going to the hospital meeting tomorrow night? There's one at the library.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
7 o'clock. It'd be good to get that on film
Okay.
if you can.
Hospital meeting. It's
Hospital
live.
Safe Share Hospital.
Should we wrap it up here?
Yeah,
Or wanna go down there?
well, that's right. I think we're good here, right?
All right, so we're going to adjourn this meeting. Do we need a vote on that, or
I think we're sort of a
everybody okay with adjourning?
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So moved.
Okay, that's
Okay,
it.
that's it. We wrapped it. Okay.
We're going to aim
All
for
right.
Tuesday in December? Or no?
Well, we can get, why not, so we can give an update.
All right, so
It's going to be,
we'll try to do this again in December, the second Tuesday in December. That's the regularly scheduled. Stay tuned for an email, and
Okay. That's it. Thanks, Todd.
thank you.
Yep.
okay.